I was asked to write things that I do not have firsthand information about. I was collecting information that they supplied to me. I was researching on the side, and I put it all together and I gave it to the company, and they have it on their website platform. A lot of it is for search engine optimization reasons. It's not nefarious or evil in intent. It's just that you should not go to any of those websites that I wrote for and reference them in any papers related to any of those career fields. It would be illegitimate. It would not be a credible resource because it's not scholarly and because I'm not an expert in some of those fields. Okay. All right. So there's that. You didn't use your libraries with databases. Databases, guys, the library has an amazing platform for you that's free for you to use. And so here's the link for that. I will show you guys online. I'll do a quick little tutorial just to show you what's there as a reminder, because again, you're 112, you probably have been through this before. You might just need the refresher. When you're on the library's website, you're going to want to select to choose databases, and you can limit your resources to or results to peer-reviewed options. Let me show you how to do that. Before I get into showing you and kind of like smack talking some of these other resources that you guys submitted, okay? And I don't want anybody to feel like I called you out, but we got to do better. All right, and I just found resources that I was like, okay, I can easily talk you guys through these. All right, so here's the website, the libraries, the RCCC library databases. So look at this. This pops up. You can chat with a librarian. You can ask a librarian a question if you need it. I'm not going to do that because I don't have time, but you can use the librarians, please. So let's say I'm doing a research paper on discipline in the classroom. All right. So you'll notice that I can select all types of resources, and these are the different types that exist. I can narrow it down to just databases. I'm going to go with all and just see what appears because it's quicker. And in the upper left-hand corner over here, I really want things that are available online because my body cannot go into the library currently since we're under COVID quarantine. So at any rate, available online. I need it to be scholarly. So you check mark that one, peer reviewed. And we know now that the items that populate are going to be something that are legitimate and that are scholarly in nature. And as my computer thinks about that, we will give it a little bit more time before I reload. There we go. So you'll see that, again, I narrowed down what originally popped up. I had like hundreds of thousands of items populate. Now it's only down to 15,000, which is still way too many. It's crazy. But if I wanted to just narrow it down to, okay, just journal articles, maybe I want something that's really current and I want to select within the last few years. You can do all of those things, but you're still going to have to go through. You're going to have to go through and read some of these sources, and you're going to have to click through and think about them. And again, take the time to look through these. And a lot of times I want to create this sounds great, judicious classroom. So once you click some of these articles, they might take you out to a different separate database. So you'll have to log in with your credentials. And I recently updated my password. So let me update that. Log in. Okay, so it takes me to the full text of the article. And yes, I want to update my password. So in this case, let's say, again, this is fairly lengthy. It's going to take me some time. I'm going to have to look through it. I'll read it. I'll see if there's anything valuable in there that will supplement the points in the paper I intend to write. So here are additional footnotes. In this case, I can see if I want to go and find this resource that this researcher used, I can go look up Barbara McEwen and see what she says and see if I can't use some of the resources that are in a really good source, like backtrack and find their original sources, right? It's okay to do that as long as you're citing your sources. Now, don't take one paper's sources, just the whole thing, and then, cobble together your own version of that article. But again, there are ways to find these credible sources, guys, that do not include general searches. All right. Now, if you don't need any more help from there and you're kind of like, okay, got it, thanks, I'm going to go, fine. Now I will show you what I mean about some of these illegitimate, crazy sources that, again, they can appear really, they can be so deceptive. And that's why I say, don't get insulted, but just be aware that these things, again, we're so used to looking at this content. So for instance, in an article about, or in a research paper, I think this is about grades, So here's the article title, Do Grades Reflect Intelligence? So in looking at this article, this is Hyde Magazine. It's looking for submissions. It's not a professional journal, okay? And so we're going to scroll down here. I'm looking at some of the comments or some of the article. Using mnemonics like rhymes, songs, acronyms, and stories has been proven to aid information recall. This is true, yeah, okay. But they need to find a resource to say this. A good example of this acronym, every good boy deserves fruit. Okay, so they're giving me examples, and I think I could believe this, but this is not a scholarly source. It does not provide me any sort of, like, there's one comment from some random gal, but in this case, I can't figure out who Raquel Stevens is. I even tried to Google search her, couldn't find her, because sometimes you can Google search these people and you can find them on LinkedIn. This lady is not necessarily an academic voice in this conversation. So I'm sorry, Raquel, I can't use you in my paper. Bye. Okay, we need to find a replacement. Here's another one. This is actually from another class. Bustle is one of these large-scale platforms that prints articles. Again, they're trying to drive traffic to their website. Ways depression affects your life. This is not academic in any sense. They're not going to provide me with research. Now, Brandy Neal, I've got her name. Let me see. I clicked on her earlier. I'll show you Brandy. All right. So this is a first-person narrative. When I moved to Los Angeles, I searched for a new therapist to help me treat my depression. Okay, so she's using her personal experience, right? Okay, here we go. And again, notice all these, like, this is going to become a listicle. So one, we feel guilty. This is about depression. This is very infotainment-like. You would never see this on a website that is dedicated to academic journals. Sorry. So one quote that I found on healthyplace.com, this is the author. One quote that I found on healthyplace.com sums up what it's like to seem normal, but be battling depression pretty accurately. Seem normal, but be battling depression pretty accurately. The writing doesn't even make sense. I'm sorry, this is poorly written. Like, there have to be clear lines in the sand that if something seems a little bit off, like that's off. I would not accept this, and I'm not going to. You've got to be careful. Psych Central reported that a study had shown, okay, maybe what is Psych Central? Let's go back and look at that. Is that a credible resource? Is it Psychology Central? Let's go look at that and see if maybe that would have provided some, researched data. I'm not going to bother to do that right now, though, because honestly, this is a listicle and it looks like a lot of fun, but this is not something we should be referencing in our research papers. So this is Brandy Neal. This is the lady. Okay, Brandy Neal wrote this. She wrote it back in 2017. She looks very, like she could probably be a really great writer, but this is her bio. She's a LA-based writer, editor, storyteller from the Midwest. She writes about a lot of different topics. So is she an expert in any of these fields? She wrote this book, whose name I'm not gonna say it out loud, but so you see, she probably is a good writer. Although that last article, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think that the writing in her, the way she was phrasing some of this information, it was not academic in nature. I'm not gonna use her writing in my paper. I don't trust her. I'm sorry, Brandy. Okay. And I say this to say, I'm trying to be joking about it. I'm trying to say this jokingly, but I literally think that we need to think these things through a little bit more thoroughly. Okay. Now this looks really legitimate too. So 6 problems the construction industry should resolve. So this is a business writer. This is a Born to Invest. This is a company website that has the intention of marketing to you. And again, crowdfunding markets, biotech. So this is not a scholarly journal. We can click on Megan Ray Nichols, and I'm going to find her on Twitter, Facebook. We could find her, but let's see what her bio is. Her bio says that she's a freelance technical writer and editor of Schooled by Science, a blog dedicated to discussing the latest science. But again, regularly contributing to a scientific website and being a technical writer is not the same as being an expert in the field that is conducting, studies and is researching this information. Let's see if there's anything else about. Look, I can click on her LinkedIn. Let's look at her LinkedIn. So she's a freelance science writer. But again, she's a recent college graduate at Bloomsburg University. Again, guys, we've got to use your resources and really think about what you're trying to find are good scholarly resources. So she does a lot of writing, and she's probably a fantastic writer. Like I looked at her, I quickly skimmed through the article, and it looked like it was good writing. It made decent sense, but she's not an expert in the field. And that's where I draw the line for the papers that you guys need to include in your research. Okay. I'm trying to drive this home. All right. You can shut the video off by now, but I'm just having some fun here. So 6 reasons your grades do not define your intelligence. This is the same idea. Now, this lady, Monica Eaton Cardone, this was published in April. She was probably bored. She was stuck at home during COVID. And she was like, I'm going to write some extra articles and publish them online, because let's look at her bio. This is not her. Monica Eaton Cardone. She's the founder of some organization, a management company. She helps online merchants optimize profitability through risk management. But this article was not about risk management. That article that I just saw was about 6 reasons your intelligence doesn't define or grades don't define intelligence. That's not what she's supposedly an expert in, right? Let's go to her LinkedIn. Okay, so same deal. She's an entrepreneur, an executive. Again, I don't see any education. I don't know that her background is in education. She looks like she does a lot of things. She's on the Forbes Technology Council, e-consumer services. But again, if she's not an educator that's studying the impact of grades and can't provide me any graphs or statistics to demonstrate, the proportion between what students actually know versus what their grades are versus, how they're being tested, she is not the voice that I want to listen to. But I can see why this would trick us, right? She looks like a legitimate person and writer. And in the right setting, she would be. All right. But this is where I say, please look at your resources. And again, I spend time doing this. So if I made a comment to your paper and it said something to the effect of, find a credible resource, you've got to change those sources. Please do not keep resources that I asked you to change from the annotated bibliography and then slap them into the research paper simply because you've dedicated so much time to this research. It's like a card game. This is like a poker game. You need to know when to fold them. So don't hold on to that deck any longer than you have to. If I said change your resources, you need to find some credible resources. And again, the library exists. They are there to serve you, and they will help you, and they are waiting. Like some of these, I feel bad that you guys can't meet these people in person, because some of these librarians are really, really so helpful and genuine and love learning and love academic research, and they can help you with this. All right. So please reach out to them, use the chat now feature, replace the resources that I suggest that you replace. And I hope I didn't waste too much of your time. But I had to get this off of my chest. I think in a classroom setting, I would have caught these issues much sooner. But again, you guys are in 112. So you should know this by now. This should not have been something that, again, tripped you up so terribly much. Okay. If you have any questions, email me now. The research paper, Unit 3 is the research paper. You're going to write your rough draft. Your rough draft is due on the date labeled on the folder. Read it. Check it, and make sure if you have any questions, I will answer questions about specific segments of your research paper as you're working, but I cannot read everybody's text. That is what the writing center is for. If you need somebody to sit with you and go line by line and help you identify some of the grammar errors, the writing center or the tutoring center is there for you. All right. And they will be happy to do that. They'll spend an hour with you one-on-one and really work through the finer points of your paper in a way that I simply cannot. I have too many students. So again, you guys, I'm tuning out from my fancy schmancy office at home. And I really hope that, this is helpful, and hopefully you guys can, again, prevent some of the some lost points on the research paper. All right. Because I really do want you guys to be successful there. All right. Good luck. Happy writing.